Crankk is redefining decentralized connectivity by merging LoRaWAN and blockchain through its unique proof of network participation model. Proudly built on the Kadena blockchain, Crankk paves an efficient and revolutionary road towards the future of decentralized infrastructure. Join our host, NetworkBits, and our guest KdSwap in this extra technical AMA session, where we'll explore the DePIN ecosystem.
Saturday, September 7th, 2024. Welcome to the first Crankk AMA. We're going to do a technical overview. Today, we're joined by our special guest, Afonso from KdSwap. We're also joined by Milan Menev, the COO. Gentlemen, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
All right. Milan, let's get to Afonso. You want to give us an introduction on yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm Afonso. For Kadena folks, I guess, probably heard of me before. I started as I would say, community manager for KdSwap at some point, and then did some content for the Kadena ecosystem as a whole. And yeah, then I started working as a developer as well on KdSwap, I would say. And now recently we've done a change in the structure of the project, and I'm now spearheading the KdSwap project. We've received a grant from Kadena, and so we're working on achieving the goals set out for KdSwap. And it's basically, that's basically who I am and what I'm doing here in Kadena.
Excellent. Thank you. Milan, would you like to say a few words?
First of all, thank you, Joe, that you will be our host for monthly AMAs that Crankk will organize every month. And our first special guest is Afonso from KdSwap. And the idea of this AMAs is to bring more to the community to see what we're doing, with what partnerships we're doing, and to start with the latest update for the month. And these AMAs will be every month, and I'm very, very happy, Joe, that will be the host. And yeah, let's do it. Let's crank it up.
Yeah. So, Afonso, do you want to talk a little bit first about what KdSwap is?
Yeah, sure. For the folks who haven't heard of KdSwap, it's a decentralized exchange, a DEX on Kadena. It was one of the first, I would say, ANADAC that was released way before, but it wasn't technically a product. It was just like it was a DEX, but the founder didn't want to explore it further. So we were kind of the first one that arrived to stay. And yeah, ever since we launched, we've had some developments, but lately things were a bit stalled out due to many factors, but mainly because of the focus of the previous leaders of the team that were a bit split on KdSwap and KDLaunch and Kadena names. And so at that point, we decided it was best if we can split the team and kind of focus more on one or the other. And I always loved KdSwap. I wanted to do different stuff, innovate with what we have and what we can do. I think Pact offers us the possibility to innovate in a different way than you can do with Solidity and other related languages. And so yeah, I took over, and now we're on this defining moment where we both want to go legit in terms of the legal parameterization of the DEX and how it is set up. So we want to be one of the first, if not the first, MiCA compliant DEXs in the future. And we also want to innovate on the technical side, and so build a DEX that allows us as a team to sustain it and maintain it for a long time, and that also allows users and holders of the KDS token, to benefit from a flourishing economic product that allows you to earn yield, that allows you to trade without paying any gas. And yeah, we wanna do all this new stuff. But yeah, we're at this moment in this turning point, going from a DEX that was built and done and ready to go to a DEX now that will have a lot of new features, and it will be legally compliant with everything.
Excellent. And let's get to it on the Crankk partnership. Whoever would like to explain that, but there is a partnership coming up and offering between Crankk and KdSwap when it comes to providing liquidity. Milan, would you like to explain a little bit on that?
Yes, as always, Kadena family, it's really helpful and to work together each others. And at the moment, the only one DEX available with ongoing developments on Kadena, it's KdSwap. And for the last couple of months, we are in close contacts with Alfonso and his team on KdSwap team. And soon we will release our partnership and Crankk liquidity pools on KdSwap. And we support KdSwap as much as possible. And this is the beauty of the Kadena community. And we try to stay all together because we're by ourselves and we really support each other. And soon we're able to list it and we'll start the official partnership with KdSwap. We will announce it, the official partnership. And this is our next step.
Excellent.
Yeah, if I can just add a little bit to it, I've always had a passion for automation, and so when I first heard of Crankk at the time, and I saw like their concept, I was really excited because DePIN and automation in general. I'm a mechanical engineer with a master's in automation, so I worked a little bit in automation early in my career, and so I was really glad when Crankk reached out. We had reached out before, but at the time I think Crankk was focusing and rightfully so on their own product and having everything set up. But now I think it's a good time to branch out and do this partnership and bring Crankk into KdSwap. At this moment is the best opportunity and the best timing because we're really cranking it up, so to speak, and doing a lot of new stuff. And I don't see a better partner in the ecosystem than Crankk. They are responsible for most of the activity that goes on chain. And it's a really fun project and really useful one. So, which is what we need in blockchain, right? We don't need any more dog JPEGs. We need something that actually is useful for businesses and for people. And I think Crankk has the right idea in that regards. And KdSwap, as any DEX, will be a tool in the future. I imagine. I don't think the end goal of blockchain is building DEXs to trade tokens. It's building infrastructure like Crankk is doing, and we are just a tool that people can use to access those infrastructures.
Thank you for the warming words and the nice words. And of course, we try to do our best to build the utility, the ecosystem, and not just to shilling the project and the token. But the times comes and Crankk it's must be on KdSwap. This it's must. It's not maybe. And really, I'm glad that we work together to make it happen. And thank you for your support as well.
So now I'm seeing some terminology here, gasless swaps. Could you describe that a little bit?
Yeah, I don't know if it's for me or for Milan, but I guess both of us can answer that. So on Kadena, you can set up a gas station, and I guess all DEXs do this, where the user does not have to pay the gas for the transaction. So the gas station is the one. So it's an address where that pays the gas for the transactions routed through that contract on the DEX. I guess I'm not sure about this, but I would imagine Crankk also has it on their P2P transactions, I would say.
In Crankk, the P2P DEX that we have it on chain, it's without fees, but the users pays the gas for the transactions. But on Kadena, they're really low, like 0.005, if I'm not wrong. And we can't say at the moment that our volume is huge, but the DEX that we have it's only for the community. It's not the idea that we're building a DEX as a professional level like your ones, and but it works. It's done what need to be done by the DEX, and but the scalability of the KdSwap it's far away higher than our peer-to-peer DEX.
Yeah, no, yeah. So I guess KdSwap is the opposite, right? So you users on Crankk pay the gas, but they have no fees. On KdSwap, we pay the gas, but there's a fee for the trading. And this, I mean, for liquidity pool DEX, you have to do it like that, right? Because you have to have some incentive for people to add liquidity. And the fee is very small; it's 0.3%, but it still has to be there so that there's incentives to add liquidity from the community.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in previous DEXs on Cardano, we've seen that there had to be approved tokens to start that liquidity pool. Is that the same? Is that a factor here? Does a token have to be approved before creating that liquidity pool, or could anyone start a Crankk liquidity pool today? If so, you can start a pool at any time. There are requirements for the tokens to start those pools.
So on the chain side, there's no requirements. You can add whatever liquidity you want. So if you live in a world without a front end, so to speak, if you'll do everything on the back end or on the contracts themselves, nothing changes there. So what we did, we implemented a sort of a tool or a filter that you can use to see which tokens are safe, so to speak, or are how do you call it? You said it yourself, like they are
trusted.
Yeah, trusted. And so you can put the filter on or off. If you want to see every token that's listed that anyone can list, you can create a token now and just exactly. You can see that filter. If you want to, you can create a token now and just add liquidity with KDA. At the moment, we only allow it for KDA, but this will change as well. You'll be able to add whatever pair of tokens you want to as liquidity. This at the moment we have no restrictions. Of course, when we talk about becoming legally compliant with everything, this is something that we need to think about. At the moment, there are no restrictions imposed by the EU or the MiCA, but at some point this may be the case, and we need to change the way we do this. For now, anyone can add liquidity.
Excellent.
I think we lost Milan, right?
No, I think he left.
Okay.
Yeah, he left. So there's a roadmap for KdSwap. What are some of the goals you guys have for 2024 as of currently?
Yeah, unfortunately, the map. Actually, I'm just talking to the guy doing it on the front end, trying to update it at the moment. It should be there Monday. So the major goals we have is to fill out the milestones for the grant that we received, right? And the first step is to kind of change how liquidity works on KdSwap. So the way we thought about it and the way we tried to cover this was, how can we make KdSwap sustainable in the business sense, like right? How can we make it so that people don't have to obviously pay absurd amounts of money to use it, but we also can keep it growing and going for the future. I think the DEX business model at the moment is unsustainable. And it's very hard for DEXs to actually get revenue. If you look at PancakeSwap, for example, one of the biggest ones, they had to create a lot of outlier products that are not the essence of what a DEX is to generate revenue. And so we came up with this idea of a twin liquidity pool that we're currently developing, and that will allow projects to add liquidity but relinquish the fees. So what happens is most projects are the ones that are more interested in adding liquidity to start, right? Let's say you release a project tomorrow, you list it on KdSwap. You don't want to list it with $10 of liquidity. You want to list it like, I don't know, 50,000, 100,000, $500,000 if you're a big project, right? What happens is that liquidity will never get out of the pool, most likely. And so, and it's a big share of the pool. In the beginning, it's 100% of the pool. And so if other users start adding, they have like a 1% share of the pool. So they want earn 1% of the commission, of the fee. We are setting up a system where the projects can opt in to not have fees collected on their liquidity tokens, and only users will have these fees. So if you think about it, this will increase the fee for the user that adds liquidity by a very large amount. If you previously had 1% of the pool and the project had 99%, now you have 100%. So all of the volumes transaction fees go to you, right? In parallel with this, we're reducing the fee that goes to the pool, the liquidity providers, from 0.3 to 0.2, because now this 0.2 will be a lot more, and we're using the 0.1 to fund the development of the DEX. And so this is how we can sustain the DEX in a business-like way. And it's a very small change that we need to implement, I would say. I mean, technically it's not that simple, of course, because you have to have two pools that work together that have always the same ratio and that both work on the same pair. So, but yeah, technically it's not that simple, but it's doable, and that's our goal. This is the first goal. Then the second and most important goal after this is to revamp the UI, make it more, make the user experience better. I think right now it's not the best. It's not awful, but it lacks some clarity. It lacks some statistics, and it lacks some fun stuff to do. I guess, right? I think when you're involved with a project, you want to feel that it's special, it's unique, and so we're doing some unique things there. We're setting up prizes for highest traders, prizes for holders. So we're doing some stuff. This will take a little bit more time because it's a bigger project. It's not just so the liquidity pool is basically revamping the smart contracts. This involves a lot more in the back end, in the front end. So it will take a little bit more time, but I think it's doable. And yeah, and then we want to change the model for our token for KDS. This is one of the last ones, and for the staking pools. But this I'm not going to talk a lot now because I think it's more down the line, and so maybe we can come back here and in some other AMA, and I can talk about that more.
Another question I have is, how do you handle cross-chain functionality? Are these liquidity pools on one specific chain, or do you have cross-chain liquidity being provided? If you could elaborate on that.
Yeah. So KdSwap lives on chain 1 at the moment with all the liquidity is on chain 1. So there is a possibility to be multi-chain, and technically it's possible. It would be some amount of work. Some people say it's not a lot of work. I think it would be a pretty considerable amount of work, and it's just not worth it to invest that time at the moment in that, because one chain is more than enough to handle the volume that we're having right now. I think in the future, when Kadena starts growing and there's more people using the DEX and there's more people using all chains, then it makes sense to expand to multi-chain. Maybe start with 2 and then go from there and see how it goes. But at the moment, it doesn't make any sense to invest time in that.
Got a question from the audience. I believe this is an integration question. Any chance your partnership with KdSwap could lead to a simple swap function in the Crankk wallets to easily convert KDA to Crankk for proof of network participation nodes? It's
this is more a Crankk question. What I can tell you is
question, but yes.
What I can tell you is that, for example, with Link's wallet, you can already swap anything from KdSwap. So once the liquidity from Crankk is there, you will also be able to swap it from the wallet itself. That's not a problem. And I guess if Crankk wants it to, they can integrate some kind of route to the liquidity pool and just do the swap on their front end. I'm not sure if that really answers the question, because I'm not like 100% sure on the technical side of Crankk. But
yeah, it's more of a ease of use sort of functionality they're asking about. It's it's a little bit complicated at first when you're trying to understand the system, being that there's 20 chains and that you have multiple wallets in the dashboard and you have to go through the P2P decks. But as you come around to it, you realize how you start to have an appreciation for how simple Crankk has laid out their decks. But it will be interesting, with Crankk being such a massive player in the Kadena ecosystem, to have tools like these dexes really bring in more attention and have more community interest and provide potentially something more robust. I think that is going to help the Crankk project a lot. That's going to bring a lot more attention to it and community support. But I did want to get your thoughts on Kadena as a blockchain overall. What brought you to it as a developer? What you like about it?
So I got into Kadena not as a developer, as an investor at the time in KDA. I got to it because I had a Flux, and there was a partnership between Flux and Kadena. I looked into it. I found it pretty interesting, like the whole POW concept with smart contracts and being scalable. And so yeah, I joined the community, and then at the time, what I was trying to catch the next big thing. And what you usually did was, like, you saw a layer one and you say, okay, now let's see which projects are underneath, right, to try and catch the wave. And at the time, the first project that I caught my eye was the KD launch, which I invested in from the IDO. And from there, I got into the team. I started talking to the founders. They were really nice, and they needed someone to help with the community and to help with content creation and with at the time everything related to operations. So I joined them. I started working for KD Launch, and I started really digging into Kadena, and the whole concept really was awe-striking to me. And once I looked at Pact and I started learning Pact, it really opened my mind to, okay, this is how a smart contract language should look like, not Solidity. This is the real thing in terms of how you want to write a smart contract. It's unfortunate that there's a lot of, or not a lot of, focus on Pact overall, because I really think it's such a beautiful way to write smart contracts, and such a nice way to have them on chain, and everyone's able to read it and everyone's able to understand what's there. It's not like assembly like with Solidity. But yeah, that's what really caught me, like the Pact thing. And then I started helping with developing KdSwap. I did some on the side contractor stuff with Pact as well. And yeah, I really like Kadena. I like the chainweb concept. I like Pact. It's a shame that there is not more people looking into it, because I think it has the potential to be a really strong player in the space.
Yeah, I certainly agree. One of the things I'm wondering, and you don't have to give your opinion on this if you don't want to, but with the cross-chain functionality being a little bit more of a challenge to implement, do you see that as somewhat of a hurdle and kind of discouraging for some of these projects when it comes to adopting Kadena as your layer one solution?
I think for a project like Crankk, it may be a challenge, right? Because Crankk is hyper scalable. That's the point, right? It's that there's no limit. And yeah, and I guess that's what drove Crankk into Kadena. And it's a challenge. But I mean, if you don't come to Kadena, where do you go for this kind of scalability, right? So for them, it's the only way. It's a hard way, but maybe it's the only way. I wouldn't say the only way, but one of the only ways. You cannot do what Crankk does on Ethereum. You go broke in 2 days, right? So it's a challenge for sure. But I guess for most of those financial tools like DeFi, it's the same because we live on one chain. But I guess once we need to live on more chains, you'll see the top players focusing on that, and then there will be tools to, okay, you want to go multi-chain, this is how we do it, and everyone will share. That's one thing I like on Kadena. I talk a lot with everyone, now with Crankk as well, but I talk with Amir, with Pascal, with Kadena itself, with everyone, and it's good because it's nice to share these thoughts and ideas on something that is so different from everything you see out there. So I'm sure once there's a need for it, it will come and people will use it.
We got the same question, I think, here. Will it be possible to make transactions with KdSwap on the Crankk control panel? Could it be possible?
Yeah. Absolutely can be possible. I mean, it's just a matter of routing through the contract. So everything you see on KdSwap is possible to do anywhere else. It's just a matter of getting the right parameters and contracts to do. And of course, if Crankk wants to, I'll help them out setting that up because I don't see a problem with that. Actually, for us it's good that people can use the DEX anywhere. It's not a we don't want volume just routed through our website. That doesn't really concern us. As long as people are using KdSwap, that's fine. Of course.
Are you able to give us any thoughts on recent event, the Echo DAO closure?
It's a shame, to be honest. And even though of course, they were our biggest competition, so to speak, right? It's a shame and it's bad for the ecosystem. They were the biggest project forever. When I joined, the first one I looked at was CADEX at the time, which is now EchoDex, and they were big. They raised a lot of money. People were really excited about it, and I think the shortcomings of Echo and how they didn't manage to cover the expectations was one of the reasons that people kind of stopped being so into Kadena, I would say. But even then, I think it's a shame that they're leaving. I guess it was unsustainable. They had a big team. They had a lot of. They branched out a lot with the wallet, with the DEX, with the DAO. That never really became a DAO, I guess. But yeah, it's a shame, and I hope that they're the only ones leaving, I would say.
So, what's it going to take to see more, in your opinion? What's it going to take to see more adoption from the overall crypto ecosystem? We talk a lot about DePIN, so decentralized public infrastructure networks, projects like Crankk and similar, where I think I've said in other shows that a lot of them are choosing choosing Solana specifically because of liquidity being not so readily available on other chains, or on other chains layer one. But they have Solana has a large ecosystem that it's kind of the passersby say, oh, this looks interesting, I'm going to add liquidity here, and it becomes more abundant than on other chains that we're seeing. Unfortunately, that's something that we're seeing with even established chains with low gas fees like Polygon. Peak is another one that it's new. I'm told the functionality is great, but there's not a lot of interest because of the established chains are, kind of just have more liquidity from the community overall.
Yeah, I think for the moment, Ethereum is king, and that's it. And I don't think there's any chance that any other layer 2 or layer 1 can rival with Ethereum. with its layer 2 functionalities, of course, in blockchains, because there's a very big business going with Ethereum that is there, and you cannot disrupt it so easy. And so when there's this amount of money into it already, it's easy to keep going back to Ethereum, because the token price doesn't go down so easily, because there's a lot of interest for people to use the chain to grow their businesses. And so it's not something that I see happening in the near future, but there's space for multiple blockchains, I think. And for example, for Kadena, I think it would be very nice if Kadena would be like the DePIN go-to blockchain. Our DePIN and our what's the name for the I forgot for the real asset stuff.
Tokenized, real.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Tangible tokenized assets.
Yeah. So I think if Kadena finds a niche and really focuses on it, and we can push for more projects to come. Of course, you always need some tooling. So DEXs you need lending solutions. So you need a lot of economical or financial products, but you also need to be like, okay, these guys are best at doing this. So I think if that would be a nice way to bring more attention, really focus on it, have a marketing campaign around it, and pushing for projects on that side to come. It's hard because of Pact, but offer them like support from engineering side, right? Even a guy to work with your smart contract engineers for a while to get them used to how Pact works. One thing that Kadena did really like is the new. I really didn't watch it yet, but I've been following the updates just and having these new tutorials and learning tools, and Amir was involved, so I'm sure they're great. I think this is a good way because it's a good step in the right direction, because you need people to start looking at Pact and not see the boogeyman. It's really not that complicated. It's just a mindset change, a chip change in your head, and then it's super great, and it gives you possibilities that you cannot get anywhere else. You cannot get with Solana for sure. You cannot get it with Ethereum for sure. And so I think for me, this would be my approach into bringing more people into Kadena. You don't want to be the Ethereum. You don't want to be, okay, we are better than it. No, we don't want to be that. You want to say, if you want to do this and that, come to Kadena. We're focusing on that, and we'll help you. We'll give you a hand. So that's my perspective. But I mean, I've never been in charge of a layer 1 or such a big project like Kadena is. So what do I know, right?
Oh well, the ecosystem and those who are developing in it are really, those players are responsible for bringing in the crowds, for bringing in that momentum, in my opinion. So everyone in the community has a responsibility, or so to speak, in doing so. I am curious, and you mentioned that Ethereum's king and their functionality. And I want to get more thought on this from you, because I've not heard many people who have spoken about it in that manner, and perhaps functionality wise. But yes, the price continues to go up, but gas fees, one of the major issues we've seen for years now. And although they've become much lower, we should say, there's still not a lot of people, in my opinion, building projects that take significant amounts of interaction. Something like like Crankk, right? You say we go broke in 2 days, but
you've got to think of Ethereum not as the place to build, but as the infrastructure that gives you security to build elsewhere. So now there's the actively validated services on Ethereum, like Eigenlayer, like Symbiotic, where Ethereum serves as security for other chains. And this is in the very beginnings, but I think this was always the purpose of Ethereum, being the security layer, and other chains will use its security. Even though you're not building on Ethereum, you're building on another blockchain, use security as Ethereum security. And if you know the space and the market, you look at the money that is involved there, and the amount of people using it and banking on it to work, it's almost too big to fail. How they used to say, it's too much. It's too much money and a lot of innovation. It's not just throwing money into the same things that has been done before. It's all very new. People are starting to be able to delegate Ethereum without having to have 32 Ethereums with liquid staking. You can now stake Bitcoin with Babylon, and it's all on Ethereum. So I don't see it as a possibility that anyone disrupts it, which is fine. It's totally fine because they have their own niche. They serve as security for other blockchains. I mean, they could even serve as security for Kadena if there was if that it doesn't make sense in the scheme of things, and being POW and having miners, of course, but it's a possibility that this is done. And so this is their niche. This is what they do, and they're very big, and no one's taking them from there. And we don't want to take them from there. We want to actually have Kadena have its own thing where they're better than Ethereum, or they're better than Aptos, better than Solana, better than Binance Smart Chain. So that's why I say if it was up to me, I would never push the KDA is the Ethereum killer narrative at any point in time. I wouldn't do comparisons between TPS with Kadena and Ethereum. I would focus on what can differentiate your project being in Kadena. Smart contract security, scalability. That's the goal for me.
I appreciate the insights. Yeah, it seems you're very passionate about this, and it's interesting to hear someone with that insight and experience talk about it and the path forward. How you think we should develop this ecosystem to accommodate new projects that are looking for a layer 1 chain to be their home. We got another question. Do Crankk and KdSwap have any big plans that are waiting on the native stable to be launched?
So we do have big plans. We are not waiting on the native stable to be launched. So we're waiting on the native stable to be launched for other stuff. I'm talking about KdSwap side, but for Crankk we have plans, and I'm not sure. I don't think any plans have been revealed, and I'm not sure if we're supposed to do it today. We can talk a little bit about it if we have the go ahead to. Otherwise, we
should hold it because Milan has not given any sort of indication we should.
Yeah. So well, let's wait on it. We have big plans. We have some, for me, really exciting stuff coming on, and Crankk will be the first project to actually test one of the new developments. So it should be really fun, and soon we can reveal what it is. Not right now.
Yeah. So, Afonso, I really appreciate you coming on. Are there any last thoughts you want to leave us with?
No, just I just want to thank you for hosting this and having me here and allowing me to go on rants about Kadena and Ethereum and whatnot.
Of course.
I'm really excited to be partnering with Crankk. They're really the biggest players in Kadena at the moment, and rightfully so, because they have a good real product that you're able to do something with, which was always my goal when doing stuff on the blockchain. I remember when I started, I always had a conversation with Fernando, who is now joined me on KdSwap, and he would say, okay, but imagine what if the price is the people lose interest on crypto itself? Do you need crypto for anything? And I would think, no, the swaps are there just to trade tokens between tokens, right? There's nothing there. And now Crankk, and this is what I always wanted to have, like something that businesses can use, that people can use on everyday life to make it easier for them. So I'm really, really excited about this partnership. I can't wait to tell everyone what we're going to do in terms of the next steps. And let's get it going. Let's crank it up, as you guys said.
All right. Afonso, thank you. And to our audience, as always, thank you for being here. We will be doing these technical AMAs typically the first Saturday of every month. So check out the Crankk YouTube channel. You should subscribe and hit that notification button. But check out the Discord and the X accounts. Be sure to subscribe there. Looking for announcements. Fonzo, KdSwap, links in the description below. And everyone, thank you. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, guys.